Hi, my name is Brett from Blue Altitude. Today I'm going to talk about what is subcontracting for the Part CAMO organisation. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a flip chart to help me explain that. Now, we're talking about, in relation to subcontracting, for an organisation that is an approved Part CAMO. And at some point it decides it wants to maybe delegate what we call some continuing airworthiness activities, wherever they are, to another organisation. And the reason it may do that is for different reasons. But as an example, it may do that because it wants to extend its scope, it needs additional resources, or it wants to actually reduce its own organisational resources and then delegate or identify a larger organisation that has greater scope and capability. Now, the thing to consider, if we are going to delegate, then that's when the term subcontracting comes into effect, and they become the subcontractor. The important thing to consider, if we're going to do that, and let's say you as the Part CAMO approved organisation wishes to delegate some of those continuing airworthiness activities to ourselves, then we would become what we call the subcontractor organisation. Now, the important thing we need to have understanding is how do we maintain control, oversight of that? Well, there's two different ways we can do it. But obviously, firstly, we would have in place some form of contract, which is the obvious. And obviously, we would actually manage that. It's really important. But that contract needs to be approved by the competent authority. And I'm using CA as the competent authority there. And also, any changes that needs to be approved by the competent authority. That's really important. So if we do have a contract in place, we change it, we need to have the competent authority's approval. Because any changes to that contract could actually affect your approval itself. So that's just something to bear that in mind. So we have a contract in place, which is the foundation of what we're doing. But within that, we'd actually explain how we're going to have some sort of control. Now, we can either do it two different ways. We can either do what we call active control, where you have like direct oversight of whatever that that subcontractor is doing. So that's the first one. Or you can have what we call endorsement, or endorsement of recommendations. So what that means is that as the subcontractor, and whatever I'm doing on these continued airworthiness activities, I am, I'm making some recommendations, and you're just going to accept best judgment and say, yeah, I'm happy with that, and then just endorse it straight away. Where the active control is direct oversight all the time, reporting back and forth, and it's really almost like maybe a form of micromanagement in some ways. The important thing to consider is, what can be subcontracted. Now, there are a number of things that can be subcontracted. The first one really we talk about is ADs. So that example for like an AD analysis would be the first one within that. You may talk about ADs. Next, you could talk about service bulletins. Again, like an analysis. We talk about reliability. So that's obviously reliability sort of management and maintenance, using MX for maintenance. We're looking at engine health and monitoring of that. We can also consider the aircraft maintenance program, both development and amendments. And really and maybe just one little final one really, it talks about anything that could limit the CAMO sort of like responsibilities. As agreed by the competent authority. So these are the things here that we can obviously subcontract out to that subcontractor. There may be other things, but if we do want them to do other tasks and we want to sub additional other activities to them, then that has to be approved by the competent authority. That's really important to understand that. So, as we're working under what we call, as this relationship between both parties, the part CAMO and the subcontractor, we, if it was us for example, we would be working under what you call your I would say your quality system. So within that, we would actually have either be working towards with your procedures, in accordance with our procedures, but it will be approved. And we have to understand this, and the important thing to think about when we think about subcontracting, if we do subcontracting to sort of another organisation, is that if they do something that actually does not meet the compliance requirements as part of the contract, which has been approved by the competent authority, then really that could jeopardise the part CAMO approval. So that could actually lead to what we call like a level 1 finding, which could be quite serious. So, and hence the reason why this contract that we need to have in place needs to be approved by the competent authority and be managed correctly. And if you think about it, this whole sort of requirement, if we are going to be looking for subcontractors, and this contract, they all form part of our risk. So as an organisation for yourselves, if you're part CAMO approved, you need to think about how you're going to manage the risk. So now it falls back into our safety risk management system. And then it falls back into our management of change if we're going to do anything with it, or any changes to that. And then you can see again, if we're going to get people to do these things for us, and we're going to subcontract some of these activities out, then we need to think about training and maybe the competency of those people doing those activities for us. And then again, another thing we need to think about as a risk is how do we share and promote safety to that organisation. Because at the end of the day, if we have a subcontract organisation, we need to be able to share information with them, communicating with them on a regular basis. And if we need to think about, like when we talk about the sharing and the training, it's like, how do we make them aware of the internal safety reporting scheme? So if things do go wrong, we need to learn from them. How are we going to let them know that? And then there are all the risks to consider. So as a subcontractor organisation, again, the greatest sort of risk to think about is what happens if they increase their capability? What happens if that subcontractor decides to take on more work? Would that have an impact, a direct impact on the part CAMO? You know, if we start to increase our capabilities, would that have a direct impact on the part CAMO? Likewise, all those things should be specified in the contract. So you can see at the moment, you know, we've spoken a lot about what we call, you know, what is subcontracting, and it's a really interesting topic in some ways. You know, it's, I think, looking back and reviewing the regulatory requirements, you can see that subcontracting would be an area where an organisation must actively manage the risks. Otherwise, it could be compromised, and therefore that organisation has the potential to have a level 1 finding. Now, if you want to know more about the contract and what the contract does, requirements, then look at Appendix 2 to the AMC. It's AMC 1, CAMO.A 125 in brackets D 3, and then that will give you further information. Likewise, what we're intending to do the next couple of weeks, we're going to have like a short little webinar. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail to give people a bit more of a flavour, a bit more understanding, maybe help reinforce the importance of having an effective subcontracting agreements in place, and maybe understanding the risks proactively that is, understand the risks, what the subcontracting activities may look like. Because the thing is, what we're trying to do is improve safety, and we don't want to compromise or have anybody have their approval compromised. That's it really, that's the end of this sort of like little mini session. If you have any sort of questions, then please, contact us on the telephone number shown on the screen again. If you want to email us, then please send an email to sales@blue-altitude.com, or go to our contact us page, hit the sort of like on that page, enter the question and fire it off to us. Likewise, we'll be more than happy to answer any sort of questions. And again, if you think that we've not covered something in not too much detail, you want to know a little bit more, then please just drop us a line. We'll look forward to your reply. And if you like this sort of little movie, or the little session we just done today, then that'd be great if you can like it. And also look at all the sort of content. We're putting content on a weekly basis at this moment in time to help raise the standards and contribute towards aviation safety. That's it. Thanks for your time. Have a good day. Bye bye.